Hi, welcome back to Waxing On. It's Monday, and today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to look at two albums, and not so much in the music maybe, but in the presentation. And one of the albums are one of the iconic albums of, I guess, my generation. Everybody knows it. It's the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Came out, let's see, I'm going to say 1967, May of 67. And a list here, it advanced the roles of sound composition, extended form, psychedelic imagery. It's a concept album. Like it moved them so far ahead, like it was something brand new for the Beatles. But a year later, another album came out, and you're going to recognize this one as well, maybe. It looks somewhat like Sgt. Pepper. It's called We're Only in It for the Money. Yes, it's Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, doing a little parody of the Sgt. Pepper album. And the idea of the title simply was Zappa felt the Beatles were kind of selling out. They were just doing stuff for the money now. It wasn't really for the art form. And really, the Mothers from day one with Absolutely Free, Freak Out, even this one, We're Only In It for the Money, were very much into concept albums. They were into studio hijinks. They were reversing tapes. They were manipulating the sound, manipulating the vocals. They were doing long-term concept albums. I mean, they had already been doing this since their first album. But this one came out, and they thought, we're going to make a little bit of a poke at the Beatles on here, and they were only in it for the money. Now, let's take a look at another shot, and this is another iconic one from Sgt. Pepper. I'm sorry I don't have my large copy of Pepper. I just couldn't find it. Would be a little more effective. Of course, you're all going to remember this one, the gatefold photograph in the center. McCartney with his little emblem there from Ontario on the shoulder. They tried to tie that in with McCartney's dead thing, saying OPD, already pronounced dead, because this was part of, still in the scam when they were doing the McCartney had died in a car accident, somebody else replaced him. Okay, that photo, sure, let's take a look. There's the Mothers album. Pretty similar. But are there more similarities in the packaging? I mean, they went all out on this. And the problem was, Zappa had called up McCartney and said, look, can we do this? We want to do the album. There's not a lot of music in there that parodies the Beatles or, you know, kind of slams them at all. But there was just the concept of the whole album itself. Now, this one appeared, I believe, on the back of the album. And again, tied in with the Paul McCartney's dead because he's the only one not facing the camera. Yeah, they went a little bit further on this one too. The same kind of shot. Except everybody's not facing the camera except for the one fellow. Now, just to tie in with that again, just for a second. If you can see this, the McCartney's dead one. I don't know if you can see that, it gets too close. But there is a fellow with a hand over his head, just like this. And they were also insinuating, I can see it in the long shot or not, they're also insinuating that was kind of like the last rites for McCartney. So this very much tied in with it. Now, nothing like that on the Zappa one. Some fun people in here. I didn't go through them all, just do quickly here. We got Jimi Hendrix on the side, a friend of Zappa's that was in here. Let's say J. Edgar Hoover over in this area. And of course the Mothers of Invention across the front. This was their third Mothers album. Now the music, well, again, a lot of strange sounds. They were playing with a lot of things in the studio. There is some satire on here. I mean, they were bugging the hippie culture. Remake of Jimi Hendrix, Hey Joe, you know, different things like that. Music-wise, yeah, there's a fair bit of interesting tunes in here, and it's been considered kind of a landmark album in its own, just from what they've done and what they've accomplished on it. But very different from the kind of music the Beatles were making at the time. And again, it was done as a parody. Eventually, well, it was released. I'll just show you that. You can see what I'd say was the gatefold of the Beatles. This was actually the front cover, because Capitol wouldn't allow them to use this cover. So this was actually the gatefold photos, was the what would have been a parody of the Beatles cover and the Beatles back cover. So they had to do it inside out. But now eventually when they came out to the CD releases, CD release was done with the proper cover on there. So they did get past it. It was a bit of a controversy at the time. It was a bit of fun for Zappa fans to be able to see this going on. If you want to read the whole thing about it, it's on the internet. Wikipedia would have it. When you query the album, they kind of tell you the whole story behind what happened. Now, if you're interested in checking out the albums, of course, the Beatles, they're all over the streaming networks. Mothers of Invention, the We're Only In It For The Money, yeah, it's on the streaming networks as well. If you can get a hard copy, that's great. There wasn't anything extra that came with it. I mean, we just had the bare bones, same way that Sgt. Pepper didn't have a lot of extra things with it. It was just the actual cover was very unique. And as you can see in the back here, we got this Phase 1 of Lumpy Gravy. Lumpy Gravy was an orchestral instrumental album Zappa did. And on the CD release, Lumpy Gravy is included on the back here. So you get a little bonus as well. Okay, that's it for Monday. A little controversy from back in the 70s. Look at two different albums, as one's kind of making a little bit of fun at the other one, and some interesting music to check out. So everybody have a great day. Have a great week. We'll see you on Wednesday when it's Classic Rock. Till then, take care. Stay safe. Thanks for stopping by.